This is Scott Bach-Hansen, Vice President for Cardinal Basketball Officials Association. In this video, training video number 2 for the 2017-18 season, we will continue to go through clips and use them as resources to help our officials communicate both before games and also on the court while games are happening. At no point is there any intention to embarrass or single out any official that makes any mistakes. This video is only to be used for training purposes. In the first set of clips, we'll review free throw coverage. We want to make sure we focus on our areas of responsibility and our positioning. We also want to make sure we see the whole play. We must ask ourselves, are we interfering with the play? Are we certain? And are we right? Let's take a look. In this play, Woodson is hosting West Springfield in a junior varsity boys game. First, we want to pay attention to our crew. The positioning of the lead and the positioning of the trail on base positioning is in very good shape. They have a very good sight line with each other. They're able to cover the back sides of both sides of the lane. One additional piece of information that you're not aware of is right before this free throw, about a minute before, we had an altercation where a player was ejected for a potential fight situation. As a result of this situation, if I'm the trail, I might want to take one step back and open up. These two players here are a little too close for comfort for me. However, the player we're going to really pay attention to is blue 22. Again, knowing what we just went through, remember the rule last year that if the person that's boxing out the free throw shooter goes across the plane of the free throw line before the ball hits the rim, it should be a held whistle violation. If they dislodge the free throw shooter while they're doing this, a foul can be called. Based on the situation that we have, I think one is warranted. You'll see by the end of the box out, the free throw shooter is all the way outside the top of the key. If we were to back this play up, one thing I want you to pay attention to is the trail. The trail's positioning is great here, however, the ball goes up, so does the trail's head. Also, you'll notice that instead of stepping down towards the play to make sure that they keep themselves on the backside, they take a step backwards and bail out. Play here, West Potomac leads Oakton by 2 points and has one free throw to go up by 3. The positioning of our crew is something that we must first look at. First of all, our trail official is way too deep. There's no reason to be at the division line when all 10 players are in the front court. The trail would be better served to be at the 28-foot mark and be at a 45-degree angle to be able to see the backside of the rebounding, the three-point arc, and help on the shooter. Our lead positioning is okay at this point. However, they do not have clear sight lines with the trail because the trail is too far down. If the trail were at the top of the key extended, they would have better sight lines with the lead. The center official is even with the free throw line and also very close to the player considering how close they are on the court. Does not provide a very good angle for the backside as well. But I want to pay attention to what the free throw shooter does. Does the free throw shooter come across the line before the ball hits the rim? You'll see here that the ball is already in the net and the free throw shooter took a step to the left, not forward. However, our official incorrectly calls a violation on the shooter, thus taking down the 1 point. This means that the game remained a 2-point game. If we fast forward a couple of seconds as they get the ball down the court and it goes out of bounds, they call a timeout and set up a play. You'll notice that West Potomac is still leading 39-37. However, with 2.7 seconds left on the clock, Oakton has an opportunity both to score a basket for a 2 or a 3 to win. Of course, the basket goes. So what can we learn from this? Well, we want to be sure that we're 100% correct on the free throw violation. With our positioning, there's no way we should have missed this. If this was the end of the regular season or a playoff game, and West Potomac was turning in their uniforms, it'd be a very challenging time for them because they would feel like they were slighted. Let's make sure that we pay attention and make sure we do have the correct call on the free throw shooter before we put air in the whistle. This play here, I want to first focus on our positioning. This is the first of two free throws. The first of two free throws, the positioning is not as important as it is on the second. However, it will give us a little bit of light into the situation here. Our C is a little bit too low. I'd still like to have our C at the three-point line extended, touching the volleyball line, to have good sight lines with our lead. The reason I'm showing you the first free throw is because I want you to pay attention to the free throw shooter. She spins the ball, dribbles it 3 times, spins it, and shoots it. This is a normal routine for this player. If we were to pay attention to the normal routine, we might be able to pick up that the routine changes on the second free throw. As I forward it through, I want you to again pay attention to our positioning. First of all, our trail is still a little bit deep and is not sideline oriented. Right at the 28-foot mark or 1 or 2 feet up, if they need to open up if there's anything in the backcourt, it's fine. The center official, again, would be 2 steps up and parallel with the 3-point top of the key. As we look at the free throw shooter, when she catches the ball, she spins the ball, she dribbles it 3 times, as she did before, and she spins the ball, and now she's getting ready to shoot. However, she spins the ball again, causing everybody in the lane to go in. And she starts her dribble again. We have one official that gives a held whistle violation. We have another official that gives a held whistle violation. We have a third official with both palms up to go, what the heck just happened? As we go through, the lead official blows the shot dead and comes into the lane, and they have a conversation. What they went with was a double violation, giving the ball back to green because of the AP arrow, as you see over here, thus penalizing white. I believe the correct call in this situation, if we were able to pay attention to the free throw shooter, might be that she changed her routine, and thus she's the one that caused the violation, not the players on the lane line. Next clip, we'll look at dead ball officiating guidelines. We want to ask ourselves who's watching the players. We want to make sure that we don't lose our focus. We see the whole play through, and we get together and discuss before making any final decisions. In this play, you'll notice that I've highlighted white 32 and gray 20 in a game between Chantilly and West Springfield High Schools. What you're about to see as the ball gets passed around is that white 32 tries to come off a screen into the middle of the lane. Gray 20 dislodges the player, what we call chucking the cutter, which provides an opportunity for us to have a whistle. However, we do not have one. What happens after that is where dead ball officiating becomes very important. You'll see white 32 begins to come across, and the screen is being set by his teammate down on gray 20. However, gray 20 puts his hands on white 20, knocking him off balance. In this play, the trail has the best look at this play and should have picked up this foul. As the ball goes out of bounds, we'll notice that the lead steps away from the players to go get the ball. This is normal. However, when this happens, our center official and our trail official must be aware and step towards the players to show not only strength, but also to make sure that we're closer in case anything goofy does happen. So as I said before, white 32 was just chucked as he came across by gray 20. He retaliates by going after gray 20 once here with a push in the back. Our lead official going to get the ball. White 32 takes another shot and pushes him again here. At this point here, we've had 2 pushes, and we have one teammate for gray trying to help separate the players. Our trail official is now distracted by the head coach who's yelling, "Please don't let them push my player." Our center official is the only one looking at the players, and the trail as they're getting the ball, or the lead as they're getting the ball, is looking back over their shoulder but does not see anything. We'll notice that the trail official now puts up a stop sign to warn the coach about their their bench area. However, when they turn around, we notice that white 32 has bumped gray 20 again for the third time. At this point, gray 20's had enough, puts his hands up and says, "What are you doing?" The trail official only catches this play and calls a technical foul on gray 20. Also turns his back to the players. His partners don't know what's going on. As I play this through a little bit, I want to show you a couple of things. First of all, we're going to change the camera angle here in a second on the free throws. But as the players retreat to the back court and the officials get together, one official does keep an eye on them. And the lead official comes up and just double checks which way we're shooting and goes back. The official that called the technical foul now goes to explain to the coach what he saw. You'll notice that we have an official talking to a coach. We have an official getting ready to administer a free throw. We have another official looking down here at the free throw, but nobody paying attention to the players. Let's change the camera angle. The camera angle, we catch this after the first free throw is made. What I want us to pay attention to here is, for some reason, we have all three officials in the front court now taking care of the free throws. As the free throw shooter gets ready to shoot, all three of us are kicking ass on this one shooter. They're not going to violate by stepping over. They're not going to get the 10-second count done. We've got this covered. However, nobody's got the backcourt covered. We just had a situation where two players were pushing each other in a pretty contentious situation. But yet, we failed to pay attention to the players in the backcourt. This is something that can't happen, and I know we're better than this. Our next set of clips will talk about end-of-game situations and guidelines that will be able to help us. First of all, when we get together at the end of the game, we need to talk about what's being discussed. We also want to make sure we don't get surprised, and we want to make sure, again, we get together and discuss before making any final decisions and leaving the court. In this situation, with less than 5 seconds to go in the game, the officials get together to talk at the end of the game. One thing to first point out is, instead of meeting here at the top of the key, we as a crew should go to wherever the ball is being put in play. If the ball is being put in play here, we should meet here. If the ball is being put in play down here at the end line, which is where it is, we should all go back down here and have this conversation here. The reason for that is because they're going to ask where the ball is being put in play. And if we're meeting where the ball is being put in play, we can just say right here, as opposed to pointing, and that ends up detracting time. The other thing is we want to talk about what is the end-of-game situation conversation like. We usually talk about a few things. Red has 1 timeout, white has 0. Both teams are in the bonus. It ball might go to white 22 because he's been their best scorer all game. Can they run the end line, or is it a spot throw-in? Help each other on the feet? The center opposite has last shot. Just some of the topics we may talk about. However, what you're about to see in this play coming up is something that we're seeing graduate more from the college level down to the high school level. And this play is being used more and more. I'm going to caution us that we don't get confused or get surprised. So let's take a look at that play. After the timeout, with the trail official getting ready to put the ball in play. One thing you'll notice is that the trail official hands the ball to the thrower-in as opposed to bouncing it. I'd highly recommend bouncing it so that you can widen out and get a deep angle. In case anything goofy happens, you have a best angle possible. The center official's in pretty good shape here because there's not really much to referee here with this matchup, or at least we believe so. As we go forward a little bit, I want you to pay attention to the player that's highlighted. This play is becoming more and more rampant in college, and now we're seeing it in high school. White has the ability to run the end line. What they're going to do is fake a pass and run the end line, hoping that this defender will set a screen and that this defender here will knock him over, thus creating a potential for a bonus situation. Again, you'll see that our thrower in is handed the ball as opposed to having the ball bounce to him. As they fake the pass and they start, we can see that, first of all, we want to pay attention to the screener and whether their foot is inbounds or out of bounds. It's inbounds. The second piece of this is we want to make sure our radar is up from our center position here. Our center should take a step down just to make sure that they get this play as well. Our trail official should also come over to the first end here near the R as opposed to outside the N. You'll notice that the screener falls straight back. However, the player that's being set to screen on, number 43 here, does take a step to the left, therefore showing us that white is most likely flopping. As the pass goes up, you'll notice that this was the play the whole time that white wanted us to call. However, the officials do a good job of not throwing anything into the game that's unnecessary. The key thing here is that we want to make sure we don't get surprised. This crew did not get surprised. However, I want to make sure at the end of the game we're adding this into our conversations on the court and make sure you're talking about it in pre-games as necessary. You may remember in video number 1 that I showed a few weeks ago, we had some challenges with the end of game situations. These challenges included officials running off the court without consulting before deciding whether the basket should count. In this situation, I want to show you, with 3.3 seconds to go in the 5th period, so we're in overtime of a tie game. This is between Marshall and Westfield at the Westfield Christmas Tournament. You'll notice as the play goes forward, the layup goes in, and then we have the horn or the red lights come on. Instead of just running off the court, we want to make sure we get together. Now this one's pretty easy. However, I do like the fact that the crew gets together. You'll notice that the center and the trail come over and they have a brief conversation. I had the ball out of his hand. Did you have the same thing? Yes. Our lead official is just standing by just in case he needs to be asked. After they make this discussion, they agree the basket should count, and the center official correctly scores the basket and lets the book know it is an official game. Kudos to this crew. In this girls' varsity game between Oakton and Chantilly, Chantilly is leading by 3 points with less than 3 seconds to go in the game. Oakton needs a 3-point shot to tie the game to send it into overtime. As we forward this play, I want you to know that the ball comes down here to the corner. Once the player turns past the defender and takes her jump shot, you'll notice that her feet end up on the line or on the purple. You'll notice that the lead has a very good look at this and begins to put his right hand out to say that her feet are on the line. The trail official did hustle, although he's out of the frame, and was able to also see this. However, what happens is the center official, who has the last shot responsibility, is assuming that it's a 3-point shot. Uh-oh. Now, as I forward this through, I want to stop it just before the tape hits because they cut the video off on us here. But you'll notice that the center and the trail official get together here. And the conversation goes something along the lines like this. I had that as a 3-point shot. I don't believe that you guys do. Am I correct? And that I should not have put my arms up. I think I made a mistake. Trail official says both feet were on the line. The lead official comes in and says, I have also, both feet are on the line. They correctly get together and talk about this before the trail official, who's the crew chief, turns to the table and says the basket counts. However, the feet were on the line and it's only a 2-point shot. The game is over. I also want to mention, I want to congratulate Robert Zayas on a great career. This is his last game with Cardinal Basketball Officials Association, and it's an interesting way to go out, Robert, but great job, and thank you for your service. I will have some time for some various plays and clips and some guidelines to help us. Mentioned in video number 1, bench decorum is an area that we must improve our relationship with coaches. However, as I forward this play, I want you to pay attention to the coach from the blue team. Blue 2 comes and sets a blind screen and is moving when contact is made. The trail official, who is outside of the frame, correctly calls an illegal screen. This act should be considered unsporting behavior by the coach and should be addressed by our officials with either a warning or a technical foul. Allowing this behavior to occur makes it more difficult for officials that come in behind and work our next few games. In this play, we'll notice that there's a team control foul that is not called correctly, thus putting ourselves into a correctable error situation and erroneously awarding free throws. After the ball gets passed twice, you'll notice here that white does not control the ball and is batted around multiple times. Blue does not control it, and white then knocks blue over. This is a team control foul, as there's been no change in possession. The officials do a good job of getting in and separating the players. However, they immediately go to one-on-one. Again, this is a correctable error that could have been avoided just by having a quick conversation. And again, this is in overtime of this game, so it's an important piece of the game. Not that it wouldn't be important at any other part of the game as well. In this play here, we're dealing with a rivalry game, which is what we're going to be dealing with for the next few weeks, especially as we get towards the playoffs. This is West Springfield against Woodson. What I want you to pay attention to is the player that's going to be highlighted here, white number 30. As we forward the play a little and in slow motion, as the players go down to the ground, you'll notice that white 30 ends up on top of the player for orange on West Springfield here. Now, in fairness to the crew, the person that has the best angle in this entire shot is myself, who's sitting right here. What you'll see is the right elbow for white number 30, as the players are starting to go up the court, come back down on the back of the kid in orange, right there. This is a play that we must get to avoid potential repercussions, rough play, or anything further. In this play, we're going to talk about transition coverage. We'll notice that the center official is a little ahead of the play, refereeing back through the players, and is in a pretty good position at this point. As we forward it through, he slows down to get to his regular position as the center. He has the matchup between the ball handler and the first defender in his way, as well as the defender on the backside. What's important here is that our lead official must hustle to get down to the end line to pick up the secondary defender. What ends up happening is we have a Euro step by the offensive player to get around this initial defender. The center official cannot tell whether or not the secondary defender has established legal guarding position. You'll notice that the player is still on the court. The defender has 2 feet on the floor facing his opponent and is stationary and takes contact in the torso. This should be a player control foul. However, it is called a block foul by the center official because the center official is late in picking up the secondary defender. Also, the center official is a little quick on the whistle, not giving the lead a chance. One of the things to pay attention to as we go through this play again is areas of responsibility. For many years, we always said that if you cut the court right down the middle, the center takes that side of the court, lead takes that side of the court, the trail takes the backside. It's a lot different now. We're talking about primary defenders versus secondary defenders. Even though the defender is set up on this side of the court, he is a secondary defender and should belong to the lead. Player safety is at an all-time high with any of the players that we're dealing with. In this play, you'll notice that the player from South Lakes goes in for a layup, is blocked, and falls to the ground. The player lays on the ground and stays there as the ball is being passed out from the 94 feet to probably 90 feet away from the basket. Our trail official backpedals because he's paying attention to the player. Our trail here does not. There's no clear advantage here as you see defenders ahead of the play, ahead of all 5 of the green players. The play should be stopped here for player safety. However, the play goes on. As we get forward here, you'll notice that all 4 defenders that are left for South Lakes are still in front of the ball handler. Therefore, there's no advantage gained by Langley. We see the ball backed out, and the officials still do not stop the game. The ball's passed twice and given Langley a shot to have a layup before South Lakes will secure the pass or the rebound, and the game is now stopped. This was at least 15 seconds of time. This cannot happen when we're dealing with an injured player. It's very, very important for us to protect the players at all times. I would much rather have you err on the side of caution and be able to say to the coach who may be upset that you took the ball away from them, "Coach, listen, I want to protect the players and I would do the same for your kids." In this last clip, we want to talk about continuous motion. You'll notice as the play goes through that there is a double screen being set up here, and orange is going to set a pass to the top of the key. A couple of things to think about. First of all, the lead can help on this play because there's nobody in front of him. So the lead can pay attention to this player that's coming from his area up to the screeners. Again, this is not something you see in the manual. You'll notice that the player is gathered and he's getting ready to shoot as contact is made. To this point, we still don't have a whistle. Now we have all 3 officials signaling and the ball's out of the player's hands. Based on this play, continuous motion should apply. As we forward through, the basket goes in. The officials get together to discuss. However, it is determined by the center official that the basket should not count and puts the ball on the sideline. It's important for the officials to make sure they communicate this before reporting, not waiting to the locker room. I will say that on this game, the crew did a very good job of staying with the players all the way through. However, this is a play that we must make sure we take care of. Okay, I lied. You get 1 bonus clip. In this clip, I want to make sure we pay attention to the big player for Woodson, number 30, who's coming right down the middle of the court. In this situation, we're going to have a defender step in for Lake Braddock right here towards the top of the key. The player is going to receive the pass, and right here, the left foot is down, the right foot is yet to come down. You'll notice that the left foot comes down a second time before the dribble is started, and then we have a block charge situation. This is a very difficult play in fast speed to call. However, if you pay attention to these plays more times than not, the offensive player gets spooked by the fact that a defensive player is there and tends to shuffle their feet. It'd be very important for our center official to referee aggressively on this play between the top of the key to the top of the key. If we go back and watch this play in fast speed, you can understand how they missed it. However, again, as we slow it down, left foot, right foot, left foot, before the dribble starts. And sometimes calling the travel is the easiest way out. I want to thank you for watching this video. I hope that you find value in it. I also hope that these conversations that you will have with your crews in the locker room before games, as well as on the court, will now be more fruitful. I hope that we stay focused and have a great end of the season. Thank you.